Good morning. It's your girl Tanisha. How y'all doing? Good. I'm so glad y'all doing good. I just want to come to you this morning. I just made a video not too long ago about 20 signs of spotting an insecure man or woman. So I wanted to just follow that video up with this video, which is called Being the Best You Possible, Insecure No More. So, I watch television from time to time. I'm not really a big TV person. I'm more so an internet person. And on TV, you see a lot of beautiful people. Their physique is so nice. They have the best children. They have the best house, the best car. They just have a beautiful life. And so it seems when you're watching television. But remember that word, television. Tell a vision. So, all of that is most times imaginary, not real, not untrue. When you listen to the radio, certain radio stations, and forgive my son in the background, he's watching cartoons. Anywho, when you listen to the radio, when you listen to certain radio stations, you hear nothing but, you hear nothing but songs about money and how you're nothing if you don't have money, and you're meaningless if you're broke, if you don't have the finest this, that, and another. Then if you're a woman, if you don't have big boobs and a big butt, and a size 6 waist to match, you can really easily be made to feel insecure. So I understand that. In the movies, when you go to the movies, she always gets the guy, the perfect guy. He's so romantic, so great. She always gets him. Or he always gets the most beautiful girl at the end of the movie. Everyone's just super wonderful. Life is just super awesome. And it's just like, you walk out of the movie theater with a warm, fuzzy feeling, headed back to your not so wonderful life. That's why movies make a lot of money, is because they allow us to escape from the everyday life that is life. So my point is this, it's easy to become insecure. Insecure is you're uncertain about yourself. You're fearful, you're anxious. There's a lot that goes along with being insecure. And I just want to show you this definition so you can actually read it. So the point of this video is to find out ways to enhance your level of security with yourself, how to become more confident, how to be more assured within yourself. So I just want to pose some questions. I just want to, just talk about a few things that you can consider, in your own personal time or whatever the situation may be. So with a person who's insecure, number one, they're often unsure of who they are. So my question to you is, who are you? Not what your name is, not where you were born, but who are you? A lot of times people don't go on the trip or the journey of finding out who they are. Who am I? What do I bring to another person's life? What am I about? What do I enjoy? What do I like? What do I dislike? So many people go through life being told what they like, being told what to do, being groomed to be this, that, and another of what someone else told you should be, as opposed to finding out exactly who you are. What do I like? What do I want to be? What do I want to do? Not what my parents told me to do, not what, I was groomed to do, or, situations such as that, but who am I? So when you're uncertain of who you are, then you really are at a disadvantage. You really are at a loss. So find out, number one, who you are internally, mentally, What do I like? What don't I like? What do I want to do? Who do I want to become? Not what you were told, but what you feel within yourself. Another way in which to come up out of insecurity is to find out and actually make even a list of, what do I do well? What do I do well? Do you cook well? Do you draw well? Do you speak well? Do you dress well? Like, what do you do well? You know, me personally, I do makeup well. I photograph images well. I speak well. I mean, there's a lot of things that I realize that I do well, you know, and I think because I'm an only child, my mother kind of put that in me from birth to be good at what I do, almost to be a perfectionist, that I think that that's a disadvantage, but there's an advantage in there as well, you know. So what do you do well? Write it down. Sit down one day when you have nothing else to do and write down, what do I do well? And in there, I think you'll begin to uncover, you know, who you are. Just keep that in mind. Another question to ask yourself on this road of insecurity to confidence is, what would you do even if you didn't get paid for it? I mean, what would be your passion? Me personally, what would be my passion if I didn't get paid for it is doing what I'm doing right now. Talking to people, trying to help them be better or do better with their life. Because one thing about it, you get one shot. Like, there's no retake or redo with life. You get one shot. That's it. And I think one of the worst feelings is when at the end of the road, you realize you didn't do what you could have done. You didn't acquire what you could have acquired. You didn't succeed in the areas that you could have succeeded in. There's a lot of regrets at the end. And I don't like regrets. Regrets are no fun. Another question you can ask yourself is, what experiences have I had that could contribute to someone else's life and well-being? I could answer this question all day. YouTube only give you a certain amount of minutes, so I'm just gonna. What have you been through that could contribute, that you learned something and you've grown, and you can take that and give it to someone else? Share that with someone else. In the old church, they used to call it, what is your testimony? Yes, what is your testimony? What have you been through? What have you been through? Me, I've been through quite a bit, you know, but I'm still here. I'm still confident. I'm not broken. I'm still, you know, going on, moving on, doing different things, doing new things, doing what I love to do. But ask yourself, what are some things that you've been through that you can tell, share, or contribute to someone else's life to make their life better? Me, I can talk about dating. I could talk about law school. I could talk about college. I could talk about starting a business. I could talk about going through a divorce. I could talk about being a single woman. I could talk about being a Christian single woman and the struggles that we face. I could talk about a lot of different stuff. So just ask yourself, what do you have as a contribution to someone else's well-being? The next question is, who depends on me? Who depends on you? Do you have children? Do you have parents, friends who depend on you? Hold on for just about that. So who depends on you? Who's looking up to you? Who's trying to see who they can become through you? You know, if you have children, they depend on you. If you have friends, they depend on you. You know, a significant other, they depend on you to some degree. So who depends on you? That in and of itself could give you confidence to do what it is that you need to do in life and in general. So who's dependent on me? The next question to ask yourself, what do I fear? What am I afraid of and why? I think a lot of people who are insecure, the biggest fear that they have is the rejection of other people, the dislike of other people. Therefore, that's why they create this facade, or however they go about being insecure, because there's different ways to do it. It's because of the rejection of others or the dislike of others. But one thing about it is you have to come to the realization that the rejection or the dislike of another individual is not the be-all, end-all of you. You were here before they rejected or disliked you. You're going to be here after they reject or dislike you. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. A lot of times people, we get caught up in what another person feels, what another person thinks, what another person, we just get caught up too much in what other people feel or think. You have to get to the point in yourself to where you realize the opinions of other individuals absolutely don't matter. They don't matter. It doesn't matter if someone likes you or dislikes you. It doesn't matter if someone rejects you or accepts you. It hurts, but it doesn't matter. There's 7 billion people in this world. 7 billion people. And I'm sure out of the 7 billion that are in this world, you can find, or they will find you, some people who won't reject you. Some people who will actually like you and take interest in you. So it's just a matter of positioning yourself to receive such acceptance, to receive such liking. So just keep that in mind. Another question to ask yourself: what are my successes? Now, it's hard for me to believe that especially if you're over 20 years of age, that you don't have any successes. Did you graduate high school? Did you graduate college? Did you, simple successes, did you get an award on your job? Did you win a debate at school? Did you, win an award at work? Have you been married 5 or 10 years? That's a success nowadays. Do you have a healthy child that is grown up and not in jail? That's a success. Start thinking about what are your successes. Now, don't get so on the other end of the spectrum that you just feel like, oh, my successes just make me all of that and then some. But have a healthy perspective on what are your successes. What have you done well in life? We all have them. So just think about that. Write this down. Matter of fact, I want you to get a piece of notebook paper and write all of these things down that I'm talking about. The next thing I want you to consider is, what's the worst that could happen in any given situation? Like, say for instance, okay, I'll use an example. When guys go up to females to introduce themselves, a lot of times men feel really insecure around women. I'm just going to be honest. Some of them put on like they're not insecure, but a lot of them are insecure, especially in approaching a woman. So fellas, if you're approaching a woman, what's the worst that could happen? She could say, I'm not interested, get out of my face, leave me alone, security. I mean, those are some of the extreme scenarios of what she could say. But what's the worst that could happen? She could reject you and not be interested in you. Truth be told, if you're in any kind of establishment, she's not going to be the only female there. So, I guess my point is, what's the worst that could happen in a situation? No one's going to kill you. You're not going to die just because you've been slightly rejected or someone didn't want what you had to offer. So that should not be a reason for you to become insecure. Because guess what? We all face some level of rejection at some point in time in our life. That's a part of being a human. You will be rejected by someone at some point. It may be a little rejection. It may be a big rejection. Maybe a medium-sized rejection. Whatever it may be. It may be some kind of rejection. But it's okay. Life goes on. Life continues to play out. You don't go somewhere and die because of it. So just keep that in mind. What's the worst that could happen? And on the flip side of that, what's the best thing that could happen? See, you have to be able to, one thing I like about just my educational background, it makes me think on both sides of the coin. What's the worst thing that could happen? What's the best thing that could happen? Okay, you go and you meet this individual and y'all actually click. Y'all actually enjoy one another. I'll give you a story of mine. For 3 years after I divorced, I wasn't dating. Now, I was going out and I was, hanging out, but I wasn't dating, like trying to get to know somebody, trying to, have you in my life for an extensive period of time. No, that's not what I was trying to do. I was about building my businesses, getting my career on track. That's what my focus was. So with that being what it is, 3 years straight, working. So eventually I met this guy at my family reunion. And lo and behold, he didn't know my mother anyway. Like before I even met him. He knew of me before I even met him. Like that whole story. I'm going to tell you that story one time too. Because it was like really awkward. But anyway, so when I met him, I was just like, you know what? Let me give it a try. And I asked myself, what's the worst that could happen? And then I asked myself, what's the best thing that could happen? And that was about 8 months ago. And so far it's been pretty good. Been pretty decent. He's been a pretty decent person. So I guess I say that story to tell you that sometimes it's worth the risk. Sometimes it's worth the risk of getting to know someone. Sometimes it's worth the risk of letting down your guards. Sometimes it's worth the risk of being a little vulnerable when dealing with someone else. So just keep that in mind. What's the best thing that could happen? Now, last but not least, this one right here, if more people practice this one, this world would be awesome. Now, I have a therapist client, and her and I go back and forth about different things. So that's one thing I love about being a makeup artist. I get to have conversations with everyone. So I get to learn a little bit about everything. So she's a therapist, and there's this one thing that in therapy they call positive self-talk. Positive self-talk. Basically, a lot of people don't recognize the power of their words. And a lot of people don't understand that you can build your world with your words. So if you're constantly walking around, girl, I'm broke, or I'm so stupid, or, that was so idiotic of me. You're talking negatively about yourself and to yourself. And those things get ingrained in your subconscious. So you're walking around with all these insecure feelings that you've planted. All those seeds of insecurity, you planted them. So what positive self-talk does is instead of, the example that I'll give is like, instead of, if you say something negative about yourself, say 2 positive things about yourself. Say you're walking and you stub your toe. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. That was stupid. Catch yourself and be like, oh, but I play tennis very well and I can cook a mean casserole. Do you see what I'm saying? It sounds stupid. I know it sounds stupid and awkward. However, it begins to transform your thinking and shift your thinking into, okay, yeah, I did something that was bad or awkward, but at the same time, I'm a good person. I have some good contributions. I have some good attributes about myself. That's the whole point of positive self-talk. The whole point of positive self-talk. Hold on just a second. You can see positive self-talk is very, very important because it's a shifting of your mind. It's a shifting of the way you think. And it's necessary in order to build confidence, in order to build security within yourself. You must talk to yourself. Some people be like, oh, yeah, you're crazy talking to yourself. No, it's not crazy, because you know what? You get bombarded with so many other things that other people have to say. So if everyone around you, or a lot of people around you, are saying negative things or things that make you feel negative, then guess what? You have to combat that with what you say. And you're your biggest motivator. You're your biggest encourager. You're your biggest fan, if you want to be. So positive self-talk. If you have any more questions about that, just comment below and I'll definitely give you some resources about positive self-talk. So those are some ways in which to build up your confidence and to let go of this insecurity that is a plague throughout the world. And one last thing I want you to do. I want you to find some friends or associates who are confident themselves. Now, one thing about it, if you hang with a whole bunch of insecure people, then guess what? Birds of a feather flock together. Chickens gonna cluck together. Turkeys gonna gobble together. Ducks gonna quack together. But one thing about it is, I always call myself an eagle. Eagles fly high, and sometimes they fly alone, but they're the highest flying bird. So if you can't find people who are going to lift you up and nurture you and help you find out who you are and lead you into a brighter place in life, then why are you with those people? Because you need space fillers? No, they're doing more damage to you than you even know. Because you're going to turn around 5 years from now, and the thoughts and the things that you're doing today are going to manifest themselves. And if all you've thought is that I'm this, I'm that negatively, guess what? Your result is going to be negative. Your life is going to be negative. Your thoughts are going to be negative. So enhance the quality of individuals that you hang around. If they can't contribute positively to your life, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. So once again, this has been your girl Tanisha, just trying to help you out to become the best that you can be, loving you from afar, hugging you, and just trying to help people do better, be better. Okay? So once again, this has been your girl Tanisha. Bye.